Nice. Who are you dashing on, kid? Woo! Let's go. I mean, these are not clean wins, but for not playing in like 2 or 3 weeks, this is fun, man. So last week in Vegas, EVO, the biggest, most prestigious fighting game tournament in the world, was held. Besides all of the fantastic matches coming from top competitors that flew all across the world to Vegas to compete, there was a ton of announcements at EVO. And after going through these announcements one by one on my own, I've realized that there is actually no better time to be or to become a fighting game player. Now, let's talk about why that is. Soul Calibur 2 was my first experience and my first love in terms of fighting games. But I was just a kid, so taking the game to my friend's house was really no big deal, and we had enough fun just playing together. But by the time I got really invested in fighting games and really interested, Street Fighter 4 was the cool kid on the block. Now keep this in mind. In between Soul Calibur 2 and Street Fighter 4, there is a 6-year gap in their release dates. So, when I wanted to get good with Ibuki in Street Fighter 4, all I had was this shitty delay-based netcode where anyone with a Wi-Fi connection could phase in and out of existence at will. Hashtag footsies. Since their inception, fighting games have provided some of the most interesting, compelling gameplay of all time. But for some reason, the development teams behind these games have lagged on user experience of all things until really just the past 1 to 2 years. Before rollback netcode, local play was really the only way to improve. It's why arcades were so big back in the late 90s. But now, thanks to rollback, I can have matches with opponents on different continents with little to no lag as long as we both have a stable internet connection. The quality of matches has gone up dramatically, and the number of potential opponents around my same skill level has also increased as more and more people flock to games that have good rollback netcode. And what games nowadays have rollback netcode? Well, a lot of them. The modern ones like Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive, and KOF 15 all come with rollback netcode. And then during EVO, we got the announcement that a lot of games are going to retroactively be getting rollback netcode. Games like KOF 13, Samurai Showdown, Under Night, Dragon Ball FighterZ. And then, of course, there's more fighting games that have gotten rollback netcode over the years. Maybe games you just haven't heard of. Games like Guilty Gear Accent Core, KOF 2002, Skullgirls, Blaze Blue, Cross Tag Battle. There's just tons of games out there right now that have really good online, making them very accessible for players to get involved, learn characters, and have ample competition surrounding them. All right, so this is awesome. The wide variety of games with good online rollback netcode provides a level of accessibility to fighting games that has really never been seen before. And the fact that developers are retroactively adding rollback to older beloved titles is giving new life to some of the best fighting games of all time. And it's giving fans, both new and old, a chance to play and compete in some of their favorite titles, from years ago. But where are we going beyond rollback netcode in fighting games? Because right now, in my opinion, rollback netcode is no longer an innovation. In fact, I don't think I would ever recommend to a friend to pick up a fighting game if it did not include rollback netcode, because it's just so pivotal. Without rollback netcode, your opportunities for improving in that game are strictly limited to your local competition, if you're even a competitive player. And maybe then your only form of improvement is going to come from the friends you play with, and that becomes stale quite quickly. So, where are we going from here? How are fighting games going to change and evolve over the coming years? Well, I think we're getting a good hint from one game that I am keeping a watchful eye on, and that is Riot's Project L. Now, I can't really tell yet if the game is going to be for me, but Riot does have a chance to change the way fighting games are going to be developed in the future. Well, how is that? Well, if you haven't heard, the game has been revealed as a live service free-to-play title. That means on launch, everyone will be able to download Project L and give it a shot. Now, this is really huge for fighting games, as most competitive fighting games. Most of the games you see on the stage at EVO have a box price of around $60, and that is guaranteed, plus all of the DLC. So Project L is going to be different in the way that it is going to have continuous updates over its life cycle, providing players with the opportunity to purchase characters, I'm sure stages, outfits, etc. So as long as the player base continues to grow over time, we might see Project L tournaments for many years to come. Now, let's go back to all those rollback announcements that happened this year at EVO. Notice how so many developers have taken the time to retroactively add network features and even balance changes to older but beloved titles. We could start seeing monetary models for fighting games shift if Project L succeeds, and therefore more support for these beloved games, right? Once people really fall in love with a fighting game, it sort of sticks with them and they're kind of always available to go back to it. And I think the more developers realize how sticky these games are with the player base, the more they can use things like live service and free-to-play to their advantage to maintain a relatively high player base. So Riot has a chance to essentially shape the way fighting games are modeled in terms of their pricing. Because what Riot is going to be able to do by having a free-to-play live service game is they're going to be able to capture millions of curious fighters and millions more who would maybe like to play, but they can't condone spending $60 on a game that they are almost guaranteed to get their ass beat in time and time again until they get good. Free-to-play live service fighting games give new fighting game players a chance to actually learn a competitive fighting game at their own pace. They can purchase their individual character that they connect with for maybe, I don't know, $5, $10, $15 and go from there. How many more top competitors are going to emerge in the upper echelons of the competitive fighting game world with this kind of high accessibility environment? It's really exciting, right? So fighting games that move over to a live service model and go free to play have the potential to grow a player base over years of updates. They can provide quality of life changes and character updates without having to burden the players' wallets with these like $30 DLC packs, which have just become standard since for years in fighting games. So what are my conclusions? I, for one, am super stoked with all the rollback announcements. I already wanted to go back and play KOF 13. I want to play KOF 15 right now. And Samurai Showdown was this game that I picked up knowing it didn't have rollback netcode. I played it and I loved the sort of single player experience. Well, I loved the gameplay of it, but there wasn't enough there. And with the netcode being as shit as it was, I had to shelve it. So now that rollback is coming to Samurai Showdown, super excited for that. And it feels really good to be a fan of fighting games right now. And the future is looking bright, right? So I'm looking at Riot's Project L. I'm hoping they do really well with their pricing model at the very least, and they show good player numbers. And I hope Japanese developers will be watching them just as closely as the rest of us. Now, don't get me wrong. Could free-to-play live service fighting games end up being worse for the player? Yeah, of course, right? There are tons of live service games that are super predatory towards the player base. But I really think fighting games have the potential to not be predatory, and I think it really is going to come down to the developers. And I think a lot of us have faith in people like Harada and the Street Fighter team and all these different developers that we've come and know and love over the years. So I try to remain hopeful. And if there's any company that is going to succeed and show the industry how to properly monetize a fighting game under a live service free-to-play model, it's going to be Riot with their years of experience under League of Legends. So that's all I have to say. What do you think? What fighting games are you playing right now / are you looking forward to? Let me know down in the comment section your thoughts. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, check out the Twitch stream, which I am streaming live most days in the later evenings of the American hours. And yeah, that's all I have to say. But yeah, thanks. I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.